Günaydın, bom dia or bom dia, buenos dias, and good morning. And welcome to Morning Chai with Shay. So, this is going to be one of the other practices I want to develop in my routine besides the midnight cravings that I have for my movement, for my self expression, and creating with my body. This is more like letting my thoughts flow freely. I want to do it more in the morning because of the lighting situation, but and also because I usually drink chai in the morning. But again, not putting. Let's just see where it wants to, when the words want to come out. That's the goal. And I want to talk more today. The thing that has been coming to me is it's been almost 30 days since I deactivated Instagram. So I've been reflecting on how these 30 days have passed and what has helped, and if I want to continue being away from Instagram. Um, and I used to do a lot of these talking videos in the last year, and over time I improved. Like right now, I again, there's like it's just my it's a metric in my head when I say improved, and you get better every day. But in the beginning, I was very awkward in talking to the camera, and I would not want to show my face, or I would just be like, "Oh, this is good, this is bad," or "I look like this, I speak like that." So I worked on that a lot over the last year on Insta. But since I deactivated Instagram, I feel in the past month, I have been focusing a lot more on writing, and I'm very comfortable free flowing with my movement. I don't want to lose this part, and I do want to develop and challenge myself to get better at it. And figure out where are some of the things that just come naturally to me, and some of the things that maybe I want to dig deeper into who I really am, and maybe some things I am not fully sure about, and some of the thoughts that I may want to develop further on, and maybe there's a blind spot in that term, in that way. So I deactivated Instagram on 1st of Feb. A lot of reasons. One of the reasons being that for the past few years, I've been on Insta. I think I kind of lost touch with the reason why I had even opened that account. And I'm really grateful for that app. I'm really grateful for movement. I'm really grateful for yoga. I'm really grateful for all of these new things that were introduced to me, because it showed me a different way of living a life. And I had such a different idea, the direction I was going in, working in tech. And it's all of that is still part of me, and all of that is still going to show up in the different things I'm going to do. Uh, but with exploring social media, and then seeing, like, just being myself, at least in the beginning, the first year I was there in 2021. In 2020, 2021 I had discovered yoga. I was burnt out. It was lockdown, and I just was using social media to connect with other people, to journal, to also track my movement practice, because I was learning things from scratch. And it felt really good at that time to share that, hey, this is what I'm doing. Oh, you're doing this. And then we would learn from each other, or we would see, like, I was learning forearm stand. Like, for 6 months, I did nothing but literally jump up and down, up until I could balance on my forearms, and then motivate each other for that practice. And that was it. That was all it was for, just being human and connecting with other humans. And the first time I thought even about creating a course there, um, I had less than 2,000 followers. I have no idea where I got this confidence that, you know what, go ahead, do it. You should be doing it. And I'm so happy I did that. I went ahead, I created a course, and that was the most natural thing for me, because I was just creating something that I was really passionate about, and I was sharing it with other people who I knew were also passionate about this. And and it was the easiest course for me to sell, not in terms of course there was a lot of work, but it was easiest in the terms, like, I was being myself. I had not yet learned the terms of marketing and the terms of trying to crack the algorithm. Like, those things were not even in my mind. And everything was going well until my account started growing. And again, looking from outside, you would think that it's a good thing that I got to 10,000 and then 30,000. And 100,000, and the last time I deactivated my Insta, it was at 157,000. But you know, you would think that it's a good thing you have a lot of numbers, but for someone, at least I realized for me, who really values self-expression and at least at that time had very low sense of self, which, the problems were showing up a lot in all aspects of my life, with my relationship with social media, with my relationship with work. Like I had, and I had anxious attachment with every aspect of my life. So I did really cling on to the metrics. I clinged on to, ooh, this is going to get more likes, or this is getting more comments, or this is getting more engagement, rather than thinking about, okay, what do I really want to create? Like, what is more alive in me? And the challenge with that is, and this is something I've learned about myself, I'm a very creative person. And this is also what I had to acknowledge about who I am. I'm forever evolving, forever learning. What I'm interested in today, I am not sure I would be interested in it tomorrow. And this has been all my life. If I really look back at it, like um, I studied computer science. Then in between, I wanted to work in operations. Then I was like, no, I want to go and study AI. Then I went to Canada for that. And then suddenly I'm like, I want to do nothing with technology, and I wanted to go in consulting. And then I wanted to go in product management. So this is like even in terms of the career. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm into movement now. I want to teach yoga. And that's what I did. So within movement itself, I started with yoga, then mobility, strength training. And somehow at some point I was like, I want nothing to do with it, because just, when you get too deep into something, then you're like, especially in the beginning, when you're starting to learn something, there's like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And then I was like, this is too much for me. And then I went into dance more, like pole, silk, more aerial. Didn't stick with it for a long time, but enough to catch on the aspect of free flow, freestyle, especially with bowl. It was so freeing to experience it. And then a bit with dance, and moving with the flow, modern dance. It just like my interests change over time. And on Instagram too, I think I was wanting to change it with that. Um, but I think what happens, and it's not like someone is stopping me from doing that, but when something goes viral, when one thing works, your brain does kind of think that maybe this is the thing you should be making more than this other thing. Maybe, you do not, for example, I don't remember which year, but one of the reasons I think I got really high numbers in my followers was because I used to do these three random moves, which is an amazing concept. I still think it's like amazing. I would teach you, or I would show you three different moves to do while you're working, or while you're, I was going to say sleeping, while you're, I don't know, next to the desk, if you want to reset your energy, if you want to change how you're feeling, like a lot of those things that are helpful. But over time, I was like, I just felt I had figured out a formula, and then I was like, how do I plug things in this formula now? Rather than asking myself, what do I want to create now? Like, what do I feel like doing? And I know there's a balance to it. Like, that's why the practice exists. You need to balance out the freedom with the structure. That's what I teach in my movement now, with my intuitive movement classes, with my intuitive movement courses. That's what I teach. Like, giving your freedom to some structure to play around with. So you have a box and you do whatever you want to do within this box. And then sometimes you want to go out of the box. But with the algorithm, with this likes, subscribes, views, engagement, you sometimes really cage yourself in that box. So anyway, I realized this year that I had to get out of that cage, and I had to let myself flow freely, and I had to let my thoughts flow. And then with time, as I'm allowing myself to, the first step is always to make sure that I'm not censoring myself. And I have also grown so much. Like I have started tackling so many of the things, so many of the inner judgment, critique, or sometimes censoring myself because of shame. And I have worked on all of that. So the things I want to say and express have changed so much. So I can't really put myself in the box now because the box has kind of increased. The size of that box has increased because what I can say and how I can express myself in also in terms of skills I have learned has grown a lot. So that's why Random Movements had to die, if you haven't seen that video. um, so I wanted to deactivate Instagram, take a step back from everything. And also in my travels, I kind of got to a point where I've explored a lot. I think travel served the purpose I was seeking for, even though I had no idea what I was looking for, but it served the purpose in just exploring different places. I think now I'm at the point where I want to take all that information and process it and make something out of it. Before, I'm not lost anymore. I don't feel lost anymore. I feel like I have a very clear purpose in front of me. And by staying on Instagram and, my screen time, I did at the start of the year was very intentional with how much time I'm spending and who I'm following, and if I'm scrolling, if it's doom scrolling versus if it's intentional scrolling where I'm just like, oh, I just want to watch it for fun. But even then, I think what I learned mostly was I had this desire to create and talk about something for a while because that's how my brain works. I can't give you information. I don't want to give you information that is just like 10 seconds and you move on to another cat video and then you move on to another cat rape video, or someone teaching you something, and then 10 or 20 of those 10-second videos in your brain, and what have you really taken? Like when you come out of it, you're like, oh, what did I learn in this? And it's not like you should be learning, but your brain is just at that point so confused because it's like we have so much of these mini information bites, and none of those make sense. None of those are linking. Like, what are you doing? And you don't even get time to sit and think, what does it mean for me? And at least with my content, with what I'm sharing with the world, I don't want anyone to mindlessly scroll my content. I mean, some days, yeah, sure. I mean, I would go back to short form content apps, and I feel like there's a lot of value in there too. But most of the time, I want people to be very intentional if they're consuming my content, what I'm giving out, because that is the value I want to live my life with. I want to be very, very protective I want to be protective of my attention. And I also want to be protective of the attention of the people who are watching, the people I want to help with what I have learned in my journey. So in order for me to do that, that's why I think I had this idea that I want to write more, and I don't want to write just like captions for Instagram, but I want to challenge myself to write something longer, and I want to talk more. I want to start developing my thought process in a way that I can talk about things and I can share those ideas with other people in a way that, at the end of this video, hopefully you have something to think about and you can take it and maybe you implement it, whatever it is. And for me to be able to do that, I also need to start consuming things like that. I need to start reading something more than a caption. I need to start consuming things or videos, something more than 15-second videos on Insta or TikTok. There are long form videos on TikTok too now, but some other day. I need to start reading books, or start taking something and implementing it. Or maybe even if I read just a small piece of content or something small, I need to sit with it and figure out what does it mean for me. And for me to do that, I need to distance myself from this. I wouldn't say just the app, but just this short form input that I'm getting, and not just the short form, but the amount of short form input one after the other that I expose myself to. So yeah, I would go back, but I feel I want to develop a practice in my day-to-day life that is strong enough, that is, before I do decide to go back to Instagram, this practice is going to sustain me. This practice is going to hold me accountable. And so I have my midnight cravings and my morning chai. Okay, so it's been 30 days since I deactivated Instagram. In the beginning, It was the first day was like, okay, because I knew I was going to deactivate it on 1st of Feb. So the week leading up to that, my screen time went to 8 hours because, you're like, and that is my personality. This is another thing I've learned. I do things in the extreme. If I want to learn something, I cannot learn by someone telling me, read this book and you're going to learn the lessons. No, I need to know it in my body. I need to do something, even if it is going to cause harm. Not harm in the, I wouldn't say harm. Like if it's going to cause discomfort, let's go with that. I need to really know it in my body. So, sometimes I have to go to the other extreme to be like, this is not what I want. And this kind of actually didn't work. I did everything possible. And then I have to try the other extreme. And that's why right now I'm going cold turkey with everything. Um, and so the week leading up to the deactivation, I did spend a lot of time on Insta. And that was the week I came to Brazil and in my travels, I'd already slowed down, but it was also the time where I knew that, okay, I don't think I want to make new friends here. I just want to probably I booked this place for 2 months. And I'm just going to mostly sit inside, go to my cafe, do my work. And if I need to, I met two, three people in the beginning. I can just try to maintain contact with the same people, or I can try to maintain contact with the people I have met over the past year. I've met so many people on my travels. Instead of people becoming a point on after you leave that place and you don't stay in touch with them and then they just disappear in your Instagram stories or as a contact on your WhatsApp, I want to intentionally make an effort to reach out to people and nourish those existing connections rather than always seek new connections in my life. But I mean, I do want to enjoy Brazil. Maybe once this is over, we'll see. Right now, it is go time. So, yeah, so as soon as I deactivated that day, it was a bit like, okay, now what do I do? I was kind of spending 8 hours on social media. What do we do now? So the first day I did challenge myself to keep my phone on the side. And, I have been carrying this book with me since Medellin, since I was in Medellin in December or November. Um, and I had just read the first chapter of it, and then it's a physical book that I was carrying, and I was like, let me read this book. And I do not read. I'm not a reader, but that day I finished that book in one go, in the whole night. I just got into it so much. It was very interesting, and that really inspired me. A lot of other things that happened. Again, not the point, but I finished the book. But after a few days, I did find myself scrolling on Gmail apps, scrolling on photos, whatever app I could, like sometimes opening the weather app. And I was like, what am I doing? So I got really curious about what my brain was going and, what it was picking up the phone for and what it would just automatically, subconsciously click on. So I deleted all the apps, anything that it could, like my phone has just the basic necessities, just WhatsApp in there, mostly talk to my family. And also because I don't have Canadian number anymore. And if I delete that, my number gets deleted and I don't know how to get it back. So WhatsApp, I don't think I'm going to delete, but I did delete all the WhatsApp groups I was on, like all the travel groups I had been part of, digital nomads this, digital nomads that, salsa this, bachata that. And I was like, no, too much information. That is the thing. I can't just keep things on the phone and then not go and look at it. So for me, the principle that really works for me is out of sight, out of mind. So that is what I did. I did download dating app at one point, and then spent some time, even though I had decided not to date, like this year, I was like, I'm not. After Argentina, I think that is when I realized I don't want to date anymore. A lot of other realizations I had. But because I was bored and my brain did not know yet how to just sit with boredom, I went on the app. And then pretty soon was like, okay, no, this is not going to help if I'm just going to distract myself. So I deleted, like, for good, done with that. Really proud of myself. Yeah. So I think after 2 weeks, finally was when I was okay without having Instagram. And then I was spending time very intentionally with writing, sometimes 1 or 2 YouTube videos, long form YouTube, something like 10, 20 minutes, half an hour, something that I would learn from, and then I would take notes, or reading a book or something, and then writing a lot. So the point being, it has been good, but it has just been the start. That is what I learned. That the first month I was just adjusting, it was like a withdrawal phase where I was just learning how to be without this. And now I need to learn how to actually, use this newfound information I have, this newfound freedom I have. And maybe I feel at some point, I would want to slowly start integrating it back in my life, because I mean, I have not worked since, like, in work, in the sense I've been working with my business, Random Moments anyway, but the last time I got salary in my account was in May 2023. So I got to make money, and Instagram is a great way to market. I know I have amazing stuff to teach. I have things that have helped me so much, and I do want to share that with other people. Right now, I'm not talking about, I have also kind of taken away all the courses from my, I told you, I really go cold turkey, but I have deleted every single course on my website as well. Like, you can't, randommoments.com, you won't find anything in there, because again, I did not want to attach to any metric, and any metric of sales, any metric of profit, any metric of views. I am sharing on YouTube, but this is where I'm challenging myself to ship the work, to share with the world, but still not censor myself, or not be like, oh, this did not work well, let me delete this, or this worked well, let me do more of that. No, that is the practice. And again, I do not have anyone compared to the audience I had on Insta. YouTube is brand new space for me. It's a perfect place for me to experiment, and it is exactly what I'm looking in terms of doing the long form stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like this phase of starting from scratch, it is very exciting. Now that I have done that one time, and I've gotten to the point where um, I had so much of how do I had a lot of followers, some no followers. I had no business, then I had a really good business that sustained me throughout my travels. Um, and I changed over the time. So I am now approaching this with everything I have learned so far, but really keeping my self-expression at the center of it all, and my practice as the backbone of that self-expression, for the self-expression to grow and bloom and become something. But the practice is the key. Practice is the structure that holds it, that grounds it. So that is what I'll be sharing a lot more on here through my writings, and hopefully when I do get back on Instagram someday. So what's next? Um, I'm going to continue, I think, doing what I'm doing. I feel there's still so much that is going to be revealed in the next month. I have given myself this, I'm going to give myself this whole next month, to continue this experiment, to continue how what it does to my brain. I already see a lot of changes in the way I think, and in the way I speak, in the way I form the links between different thoughts, different ideas, and how much I'm really valuing, and how much I'm like really stepping into my own power. So I'm really excited for what's going to happen. And one thing that definitely helped me, and for anyone watching this, is just start. Like, do not try to go back and be like, I need to sort out these things and I need to make it perfect. I need to, like, just start. Like, if I really look at the start of my Instagram journey to the whole journey I had, the reason I got to where I got to was because I started, and because I did not care about how it looked. Even in my movement, I try not to think about how it looks, and just And that is what I actively challenge, and that is the work I want people to do as well. Is, when you self censor yourself, when you are like, no, this is not good, this is good, like, ask yourself, where is that coming from? Like, the packaging will come, the packaging, yes, it is important, but if you have something important to say, no matter how you say it, the person, the someone else who really needs to listen to that message will still find it helpful, will still find it something, will it will still impact their life. And over time, when you are very comfortable, when you have developed a practice of showing up and not censoring yourself and letting your ideas flow, and then you're connecting the dots between your ideas, then the packaging will come. You will figure out what works, or you will figure out what you want to work, not like what works for other people. You will find a balance of, this is what I want to do, and this is where the demand is, or these are the kind of people, these are the people I do want to help. And all of those dots would be there, the connections would be there. But what you have to do, the difference that you're going to make is, one day you will have to be like, you know what, instead of postponing this for tomorrow, let me start now, like, figure it out, put on a camera, start speaking. That's it. And then upload it as it is. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so that was our morning chai. I will see you next time. Cuidado. I forgot what it is called in Portuguese, but in Spanish, I think it's hasta luego or ciao. Ciao, ciao. Oh, ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Okay.